In this video, we're going to review some of the FMS Vision General Ledger functions. So again, from our Google Chrome page, we're going to go ahead and select our favorites, FMS Vision, and get to the sign-on screen. And again, using our sign-on and our password, we're going to access the FMS Vision suite. So again, today we're going to concentrate down here in the General Ledger. We'll go right to transactions here and go right into cash receipts. So when entering a cash receipt entry, again, the screen is very similar to that in which you see in the focus menu. Enter our store, and just like in all the other areas, we're going to use tab to navigate from field to field. Again, we'll key in our date, and then key in our description. And in this case, we're not going to use a memorized entry, so I'm just going to go ahead and press enter. And again, it brings up our statistics for our cash receipts. In this case, we're just entering a miscellaneous deposit, so there's no real customer count. So I'm going to go ahead and hit enter through the stats. And then it brings us to the first line of our cash receipt entry. As you can see, it defaulted to Corp in the store. So if that's correct, I can go right in with the department. So first I'll key in my cash, the deposit portion. So I'll key in the department, my cash account, and the amount of the deposit. And when I press enter, because it's the cash account, it's going to bring me up to the deposit screen. Obviously, I need to know what type of tender this $1,000 is. So again, to get the list, I'm going to double click inside the type field. It's going to call up the entire list. This is a check deposit, so I'm going to type in check. It finds it in the list. I'm going to check the box and hit select request. So now that it has the check, we'll say that this entire is a single check for $1,000, one deposit. So I'm going to go ahead and put the deposit number in here. I can just go ahead and press enter, just like you can now. It fills in the date and the amount. Since we balance the total deposits equal the total amount put in the cash, we can go ahead and hit enter. And now it brings us to the next row. Again, we're in entry mode here, so it's asking us for our department. So I'll just break down this $1,000 check. We'll say a portion of it was grocery purchases. One key difference here in Vision as opposed to Focus, we're putting the minus in front of the numbers. So again, $500, we put a minus in front. And a little different here on the cash receipt screen than all the other entry screens. Since we have our entry box already, instead of pressing a tab here, we're going to go ahead and press enter. And you can see what happens. It takes our grocery purchases and moves it down into the grid again, just like it does on the Focus application. So I'll say there was some meat dollars here as well. Again, enter some produce. Notice at the top here, it's keeping track of our balances, and again, it's not going to let us X out of this transaction until it's balanced. So now I'll go ahead and do some deli. So now I've entered all the transactions in, and I notice that I've made a mistake here, so I don't balance to zero. So just like currently, in order to get down into the grid to make a change, I'm going to go ahead and click this button that says toggle add change. Notice what happens, my add line goes away, and now here is the grid itself. So I need to make a correction down here. This deli was only supposed to be $100, so to correct that, I'm going to check the box, and then I'm going to go ahead and select the button that says edit. And I'm going to change my $200 to a minus 100. Press enter and confirm. It brings me back to my deposit entry, my cash receipt. You can see I now balance zero. So now I can physically come over here and hit complete. And the entry is accepted but not posted, so I'm ready to key in another deposit if I have one. So that's the cash receipt. I'll go ahead and press exit here. Again, I get to my splash screen, so I'll close my tab just to kind of clean up as I go. Next, we'll go ahead and key in a transfer. So I click on the transfer here. It asks for the transfer number. Let's just say I'm keying in the transfers for the week ending 6/15. So I'll go ahead and put my number is 6/15. I'll hit the little drop down here. I'm going to key in the entire transfer. So I press enter. And for my description, I'll just call it transfers weekly. And then again, I want to key them in as the 15th. And these are all, this is a store transfer, so within the store 261, I'm going to put in the store, press enter, I get the confirmation prompt, I can press enter again, And now I get to the distribution screen, so I'm ready to record my transfers for the week. So I'll start off with grocery, and again, if I'm keying a minus, I'm going to put in the minus in front of the number. And again, I'm using my tab, just like you do in accounts payable. When you're moving around any of the fields, tab across is the way to go. If my corporation and my store are consistent throughout the entire entry, I can skip those fields and the system will automatically fill those in. Fill in some meat, again, just keeping up with the general theme here. We've transferred some merchandise out of produce, and then we'll just come to an end and we'll say that grocery is going to receive all this money. So if I don't know what the amount there is, I can go ahead and hit enter. And you'll notice that it total the value up here. So there's the grand total. So I want to put that in the deli purchases, but you can see what's happened now. Deli is actually in the grid. So what I can do here is I can just kind of click on the deli and it brings it up in the grid here. So now I can go ahead and key in the amount that was transferred to the deli. Press enter. My entry is balanced. I can go ahead and press enter to accept the entry, and it brings me to key another transfer entry in. I'll go ahead and hit exit to clear that out. Next up, we'll do a user transaction, like a journal entry. I'm skipping statistics because that's not done very often. So again, we'll put in our store here, and in this case, we're going to do a UGA, which is a journal entry. Again, I'll key in my date of my journal entry, and I'll just say that this is corrections. Again, we won't use memorized, or we won't reverse this entry either. I'll go ahead and press enter. Then we come up to the distribution grid, and again, I'm going to use my tab key. Tabs me down into the grid. Key my corporation, my store, and again, grocery, purchases. Again, using my tab. Brings me down to the next row. Again, I can leave my corporation and store blank if it remains the same. So to make it simple, I'll just go ahead and balance this entry with a minus in front of the number. I press enter. You can see it balances to 0. I press enter again, and it brings me back to enter another user journal entry into the system. I'll get an exit here and close that down. You'll notice here that there's another section for transfers. So transfers shows up twice. It shows up with all the GL transactions, and then it also shows up when the menu transfers by itself. So both of these are identical. I'll go ahead and skip inventory because a lot of people don't do that as well. We'll go right into reports. So everyone should have the GL detail ledger there. So if we wanted to run a ledger, again, I'll pick store 261. We'll say we want just the grocery department, all accounts, and let's just say I want to see it for the whole year. I'm going to pick an older year just because I know I'll get some transactions. So I want to see maybe the entire year 2015. Again, I'll accept all the defaults. I press enter, confirm. So now I get to my splash screen. So I want to go look at that report. I'm going to go ahead and click on the printer icon. Pulls up my spool file. There's my detailed general ledger, 4 pages. Check on the box. Hit my Adobe icon. And there's my detailed general ledger for grocery transactions for the entire fiscal year 2015. So here, once I have them here, I can go ahead and do the print or save or email or whatever I want to do. So I'll go and close that down. I'll keep my spool files open. I'll come over here to detailed general ledger. Again, just close the tab to kind of clean up as I go. If you're authorized to run structured reports, you'll have this menu on Run Structured Reports on your menu as well. If I click on that, and what will happen here is the system will go look at our system and pull up only those reports that you're authorized to run. So again, if I was just going to run a quick balance sheet, I would check the box and click on Work with Display with extracts, run a new extract, and let's just say I was going to run again December 2015. So I would come down here and put 12/31/15, press enter to run the report. So that report will extract. I can come over to my spool files, and we see it's not there yet. If I do a reload, and I could click that for a few times, waiting for it to refresh. As I come back to my structured report, I can also hit my reset here to have it refresh. And we'll come back to this. You can see that's still running that report. So based on how much data and how big that report is, determines how long it takes to process. So we'll check back in on this in a second and take a look on our spool files, and we should see it there. Next up, we'll take a look at GL inquiry and account balances. So I click on there. So again, it defaults to the most current period that's in the system, but again, we'll change these dates. We'll look at 2015. So you have your 4 ways to get at the data. I'm going to come down here and check. I want to see it by account. And I press enter. So there's a little bit of a difference here on this screen as opposed to the focus screen. What we have is we're just loading the 10 rows of data. If I want more, I can hit load more, and it will continually load more. In most cases, you know what you want to go after, so I'm going to go after purchases and grocery and press enter. So again, there's all my grocery purchases, and then it goes right into the next departments as I go through. I want to take a look inside this grocery purchase account, so I check the box, and I can then click View Transactions. If I wanted to pull this information down into Excel, I could click my icon here, and it will take the contents of this grid and download that into Excel. So if for some reason I wanted to manipulate it there, I could do that. So there's the information that was in the grid. Next up, we're going to go ahead and we'll back out of here. So that was the detailed general ledger. Back out again. So we'll close our inquiry. We'll check back in on our spool file. If I hit reload here, let's see if our structured report is done. So it's still extracting data, so we'll give it another chance here to finish up. Lastly, we want to go into allocated and recurring. I'm not going to go into the allocations. They're not used very much, but I am going to go into memorized. So if I click on memorized transactions, the list of memorized for your corporation should be displayed. If we wanted to go in and add a memorized transaction, and let's just say I wanted to key in a memorized entry for maybe my wholesaler. So when I key in the AP invoice, it'll pull up the GL accounts for me. To do that, I'm going to go ahead and tell it that this is an AP entry, put in my corporation, and I'll just maybe put wholesaler there. And this will be for store 261. So I press enter, get the confirmation prompt. I then get my GL grid, so just like before, I'm going to use my tab. And what I'm doing now is I'm going to leave the dollars blank because I just really want to fill out the form with the account numbers so I can use it when I key in the invoice. So again, I'm using my tab to come across. Again, if my store and corporate are the same, I can skip those and it will fill it in automatically. So again, I'm putting these also in the order in which they appear on that wholesaler statement. Theoretically, when I use it, I can just call up the memorized entry and go down and key in the dollars when I'm keying in the invoice. So again, if I skip this, you'll see it automatically fill it in for me there. Nope, it did not, so you have to key that in. So to make a change in the grid, if you click down in the grid, you can do that. If I hit enter, if I'm done, let's just say I hit enter prematurely and I'm not done, I wanted to key some more lines here, I can then click down in the first empty row of the grid, and then I can come up here and start rekeying. So in this case, I picked an account that's not in the chart of accounts. So in order to get that out of there, I can check the box here and then click on the delete. So once my entry is done, I can go ahead and hit complete and exit. And I exit out of here. So again, if I came in here, there's my wholesaler entry that I just created. If I check the box, if I wanted to double check it, I can go ahead and click on distribution. So there's my entry. If at this point in time, if I wanted to add something to it, again, I could click on the blank line and just add some additional items to it. I'll go ahead and complete and exit. If for some reason, let's say I just wanted to print this one, I could check the box and hit the print. And then I'll pop over here to our spool files and hit my reload. And there's our structure report is done. Let's take a look at our memorized entry first. I can check on the box. If you wanted to see more here, you can make the column larger. So there's the printout of my memorized entry for wholesaler. And then I can come down here and look at my structured report, and there's the data there. So again, I have some column errors here, but you get the gist of what it looks like. So again, that was the general ledger. We'll do another one on more on the allocations another time, but that should get you going. So again, I want to close all my windows before I exit out. So clicking on my tabs, I can hit exit, exit. When I get to my splash screen, I can then close. Again, I hit exit, I'm on the splash, I can close the window, same thing, close, and now I'm all done. I can go ahead and hit log out, and I'm back and ready to close.